Bit of a mix up there on the different screens and different scenes. Good morning everyone, it's 5 AM UK time at the moment. I woke up at 3 and I was trying to find a stream to watch, a programming stream. I couldn't find anything, so I started doing a bit of coding. And you know what, I thought, why don't I do some streaming? Although it's kind of going to be sleepy coding because I am half asleep. It is really early, but thought, you know, why not? Maybe get some of my tests passing. As you'll see, I've got a couple of test feature files failing, and I've got a couple more to write, and then we're good. So if I can get that done by kind of 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that would be awesome. So if you do have any questions, do just ask. I don't know why my blue kind of RGB light behind my big screen is coming out on the screen on the recording. It's purple, but it is blue, and yeah, let's get going. So if I share my screen, you can see I have some failing tests. So I am trying to let's get those passing. So right, let me see. So let's do the delete feature first. That's what I've been working on recently. This is on my project Dashboard Hub pipeline dashboard. Actually, I should have brought a page over so you can see it. I'll bring it over right now. Make it a bit smaller for this resolution. There you go. So this is the project that I'm currently working on. And we'll do some code. So the failing file that I have is, let me run just the delete alone, and we can see. So if I cd into the API directory, and I go through my history, and I have, and the failing one, if we read from above, is monitors delete. So this one's failing. Let's run it. That is incorrect. This is a really bad start. It is early morning, so I am whispering because there are people asleep. Like I said, it's 5 AM UK time. So give me a second. Let me just sort out why the test command is failing. So while I'm doing that, by all means have a look at the project that I'm going to be working on. It's fully open source on GitHub. It's Dashboard Hub, pipeline dashboard. And here's some screenshots for you. They're probably a bit out of date. But let me just fix my test command. The reason why I'm doing it on the other screen is because there are some private tokens that I did yesterday streaming, did share those by accident, but thankfully someone pointed those out, so I have reset those. So I do not want to share them again, to have to reset them again. So do just bear with me 1 second while I just put those, rather than in the actual command, I'll put them as environment variables. I must remember how to do that. I think it's export. So let me just do that now. And if you like the cat, hopefully you recognise it. It's Jenkins. And tonight, when I stream tonight for the UK people, I will probably be wearing an Ubuntu cap to try and mix it up a little bit, so all the techies can appreciate it. I do have a normal mug next to me, but I have a GitHub mug, but I'll leave that for later in the week. Don't want to show all my swag all at once. So if I just export these. If you do have any questions, do just ask. Actually, in fact, while I'm doing this, I can actually show you. You can see my lovely setup. The big screen at the top is off at the moment because it's connected to the sound system in the room, and it's really loud and will wake everybody in the house. So that's not something I want to do. Okay. That's one command done. I'll do a couple more, and then we are good to go. Then we can get back to some automated testing. I know it's not always fun, but I found lots of bugs by doing these automated tests. So yeah, it's really important. So what I'm using is Cucumber for my API end-to-end testing. And yeah, we have to do lots of pair programming today because I am half asleep. Like I said, it's 5 a.m. UK time. Where is everybody from? Anybody from the UK as well, up early? I'm guessing you're probably from the States kind of way. Oh no, yes, because it'll be late in the evening for you, probably like 11 o'clock. Or you'll probably be towards the Eastern Europe, Middle East, Asia will probably be forward in the day. So I've just done this command. Let me just check that they do work correctly using the environment variables. Then I'll clear the terminal and bring it back over. So then if you can hear the fans on my iMac going, on the iMac Pro, it's making it work hard this morning. But yeah, I was really surprised there weren't any programming streaming this morning. So that's why I thought I'd start one. So thank you very much everyone for joining me. Do say hi in the chat. And we do have a Discord channel that I started only yesterday. So if you do want to chat in between streams. Okay, that's working. Well, it's got failing tests, but it's working. So if I go back to sharing my screen now. Right, okay. So now you won't be able to see the environment variables that I've done. I can just run my Cucumber command. So I do have 2 failing tests. So the test that I have at the moment, if I take you through what I have, this is it is on the delete, I think, the failing file. Yeah, monitors delete. So if I close create, don't need that. So if I go to the delete test file, this is testing my APIs. It's actually making API requests, so it's not mocking anything out. And so what we have is these are just tags, so I can filter my tests by any of these tags. So all is for everything. Monitors is for all the ones in the monitors directory, and then this is specific to delete. This is just a description. I'm not going to read it out, but it doesn't actually affect the Cucumber test. And this allows me to re-see the data before the file runs. In the future, I want to have it so this file creates the data that it needs, but I haven't got onto that yet. I don't think I need it at the moment. So I just got the data directory here at the bottom left. I just keep reinserting that data, or truncating the data that's already exists and reinserting that data. And then here's my test. And on the same line as scenario, this is just text, it's just a description, doesn't affect the test, but this is actually drives the test. So, so cannot delete a monitor from my environment when not logged in. So if I hit this endpoint, and this is a valid environment ID and this is a valid monitor ID, but because I'm not logged in, there's no given that we'll see further down. I expect a 403. I think that one passes. And then this one here is cannot delete a non-existing monitor. So this 999 here, this ID doesn't exist. I am logged in, and I expect a 404 in return. And then I think that one passes as well. We'll just check that in a second. And this one cannot delete a non-existing monitor. So the environment ID is correct, and the monitor's ID is incorrect. I expect a 404, but I am logged in again, and that is logging in. It is going to the API, getting a JWT, and it will be using that on the subsequent requests. And I can delete my monitor. So this is an existing monitor from the test data, and I expect a 204 to delete it. But I have a feeling I want to be getting a 200 because I want to sort out my status codes on the API. But what I was keen to do is get the API test coverage covered, and then I can go back and modify things. But because I have tests for it, I will be confident that it's correct. If people are interested in continuous integration and continuous delivery, so CI and CD, I did do about an hour's stream on this yesterday evening, and I did talk about on my project Dashboard Hub about I demoed Travis CI. I still got the file open from yesterday, so I do build the environment. So I install it, I build it. This is the make command to build it. I run my tests, and actually I need to pull this down because yesterday we noticed that I run the test before I build the UI. So I have actually swapped that round, but I should actually pull that down. So let me just do, I think we did that in the main branch. So if I just do a git pull origin and it is, I think, in v09, which is my default branch at the moment. So let me just pull that down. It shouldn't conflict. Oh no, it's not happy. I'll do that later, but basically you can trust me that if you look on GitHub, the again, my default branch is 09, and we'll see the Travis file they're switched around. Dr. Cactus, thank you for joining. Actually working on paper on CD and CI right now. I'll go check out that video. Yeah, please do, go have a look and join. I created a channel yesterday on Discord, or community on Discord, called OpenSource Coders. The link is under the stream below. Do join, and any questions do ask. I think it's such an important thing. I can't imagine doing a project now that doesn't have CI and CD, even if it's only at the basic level. I think it's really, really important. So automation is just, automation, as someone said yesterday in the chat, automation is all the way, is key. So again, for people that are joining, apologies, it's really early, it's 5 AM UK time. I've been up since 3, couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd get up and code. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to code, I might as well just stream it so everyone can see. Music is turned a bit high. Okay, thank you for the feedback. I've been streaming for just over a week, so it's really good to get that feedback. Let me turn it down. So music. So how's that? Is that better? Let's try to turn it down a bit more. I can't remember what it was on now to check how much I've turned it down by. I'm still waking up. How about a fraction more like that? Is that good? Do let me know if you want me to turn it down even more. So I'm going to close this file. Let's get back to the automated test. So it's better now. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Any feedback now or later? Do say. And if you do watch the stream from yesterday, please do say any feedback or any questions you have. So yes, where have I got to? Yeah, this is actually deleting a monitor, so I expect this to delete it. So if I actually go to the failing test, what do we have that's failing? We have 2 that's failing, and it's the cannot delete a non-existent monitor from my environment. So because I haven't done TDD as in test-driven development, what I've noticed is a lot of the boundary, although the UI works with the API well, but a lot of the boundary conditions aren't covered. So things like this, I'm not surprised, are failing. That's why I think TDD is really important. But with Dashboard Hub, I actually put together a prototype because I wanted to give it to some users and get some feedback. And then now that I've got feedback and I want to keep going with what we got before I put any more features in, I'm quite keen to get the automated test, at least for the API, because the API is, I know it's not what people see, but it's the part that should be bulletproof. It should be the gatekeeper. The UI, okay, if the UI lets some data through that it shouldn't because of bad validation, then as long as the API rejects it, then that's the most important, because people can always bypass the UI anyway. So let's have a look. So this is failing on feature file 19. It was expecting a 404 and got a 200. I'm pretty sure that's some bad code I've written. So line 19, so it's this test here, it got a 200 rather than the 404. So I'm not checking that the monitor exists or not. So if I go to the delete, I am using Node with the serverless framework on AWS. And for anyone else who's just joined, any questions do ask, or any suggestions, please do say. I had a really funny comment yesterday saying I think you need more cameras, because I've got the 3 screens and the 3 cameras and obviously the one behind. And he said you should have a bird's eye view one. And I actually do have a spare camera that I could put up the top. And I was going to do that this morning, but I thought no, it's too many cameras. You want to see code, you don't want to see me. Okay, so we were saying that this test here is failing. Delete a non-existing monitor expecting a 404, but it's not. So let's have a look. So what we do is we get the environment, we check. Again, I do want to refactor this code. This was my prototype code. However, I'm going to get the test passing, and then I'm going to go back and refactor it at a later date. So here we get the monitors. Actually, it should only be a single one, so it should be this is filtering out, so I want to keep all the other monitors and then save it. So what we need to probably do is, before I do this, I want to do a check. So I want to do the opposite of this, and I want to actually say, if I do a let monitor, this is the one we've actually requested with the ID. So if I do a find on, because monitors is an array in an environment object, so I want to say, so for each monitor and where it's equal to the monitor ID that comes in on the path. So for that one, and I want to say if it doesn't exist, then that's for a 404, and that test should now pass. I'm just going to copy and paste this because it's cheating. There we go. So if the monitor doesn't exist, throw a 404. But if it does exist, carry on, remove it from the monitors array. So this filter is going to return all the ones that don't match the ID. And then I want to delete all the monitor results as well. So if I save that, this test should now go green. So let's have a look. Oh no, not that command. My history. Here we go. But people joining, any questions do ask. And if you want to chat in between streams, if you're especially in different parts of the world, different time zone, do join Discord and we'll have a chat. So we've gone down from 2 failing to 1 failing. So this is good. Okay, brilliant. So my last failing test is can delete my monitor. So it's actually the successful one, and it's saying 404. Okay, let's find out why. So what it probably is these IDs might not exist or might not be correct. Let me just open the data and see. So this is my test data at the moment, and I need to do the list test next as well. So we have we're getting the first environment. So this is first one, and yes, there's no monitors, so that's obviously not going to work. So what we actually want is the 4th monitor. So I just changed this number 1 to 4. That's how I've just kind of labeled it. If you see that I've kind of called it E1 and then E2 and so on. So we want the 4th one, and the monitors down here. If you see that it's nested escape JSON, I don't like that either. This is the way DynamoDB does things, so I'm actually really thinking of moving away from Amazon DynamoDB to AWS's Aurora serverless. So I get the same benefits of the scalability, but it's not, so I don't have to worry about managing the size of the VMs. It just scales automatically, and you get a really nice free tier as well, but it's not something I want to do until all the tests are done. So let's see, so it's E4, it's the 4th one, and that's tokens, it's for T. So where's monitors? Monitors, E4, M1. So if I go back to this, I've changed that to a 4, and this one should be E4, M1. So that should delete now. So let's have a look. Hopefully that was just a data issue, and hopefully that should now pass. So people watching, while that's running, what's everyone's background? So Dr. Cactus has been chatting in chat. You were talking about getting into CI and CD. So what tech are you working on? Are you doing Java, PHP, Ruby, Node? What tech are you using? Oh, that's failed again. Why has it failed? Anyone else, do jump in and say what tech you're using. If you're new to tech, if you're a seasoned developer. Delete request. Why did that not work? Oh, I got 200 there. So it did work, but I was expecting in my test a 204, which a 204 for the status code is when you're not expecting it's successful, but you're not expecting a body in return. And on a delete, you don't expect a body. However, I have to do a lot of custom stuff to get that working with the way, although it was quite easy for the error, for the success it's not so easy. And I do actually return something, so it should be a 200. I actually do return the monitors that didn't get deleted, so I should actually change that to a 200 because it has got content, and save that. And now if I run that again, this will now pass, and we can move on to the list tests. So now I know that is working. Okay, So reset the database, reseeded it, and that all passed. And that is, just to recap, that is actually calling my API, that is making a request, and is getting a response back and checking the data. So this status code does check that it gets that back as a status code. So delete is now working. So let's do the list. I'm just going to copy this because I like to cheat. Actually, you know what? I can probably copy that as well. And then for the list, it's going to be monitors, but it's going to be monitor list. These are the tags. So I can filter when running the test. List monitors from my environment, because monitors belong to an environment. In order to, this is just text, this is just description. I can probably improve these a lot later on. And if anyone sees any improvements, even if it is just a space or a wording, do please submit a pull request. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want help with that, also do let me know. And for my environment, I want to list a monitor. I don't want to list a monitor, I want to list monitors. I want to list monitors. One thing I actually do want to do on the UI, I have actually limited it to, I can actually even show you if I bring this up. This isn't a test environment, so if I just, so ignore the data on this, this isn't kind of good data, but if I just log in with Git, it's just basically GitHub OAuth, but if I log in and if I go to one of the environments in Dashboard Hub, you'll see what the monitors are. So this is the environment. You can see that in Dashboard Hub test, that's my CD deployment from yesterday, and in Travis CI, that's the latest, well, this is the latest build number, sorry, the 1225. The 09 and the alpha are on mine, what I wrap it with. So there you go, so it's 11 hours ago. And what I want to show you was monitors. I think this has got monitors on here. Yeah, it does. So you can see at the moment you can have a single monitor and it pings every 30 minutes, but the API actually supports multiple monitors. So I did this as a, I guess, for the prototype, just to make it quick and simple. But what I will do is, so when you click monitors, it lists your monitors, so you can have different URLs to monitor, and then when you click one of those, you get to this page. I do have a TTL on the data of 7 days, because otherwise it gets quite kind of squished up. Probably want to use something like Elasticsearch, where I can get averages across. I can look at the last 6 months and say give me a weekly average, and Elasticsearch is really good at that. So yeah, okay, so let me get back to the list. So at the moment this list test will change in the future, but for now it's good. So I want to list monitors from my environment, so running the seed data. Okay, so now I want to do a scenario. I want to say, well, we can do we'll do the unhappy paths first, maybe. So what do we want to do? We want to cannot list monitors when not logged in. Okay, let's just copy that, duplicate that line, and let's do the other titles. These are just titles, so these don't actually run. So cannot list monitors when not logged in. Cannot list monitors not from my environment, so I have to be the owner of the environment. What else do we want to do? We want to do, what else? Do jump in with suggestions. This is a pair programming session, and like I said, I'm really sleepy, so I'm sure we're making lots of mistakes. Okay, well, we'll do the happy path as well. So list my monitors. List my monitors for my environment. Okay. What else is it? Another unhappy path. I thought there'd be one more, but while we're thinking about that, we can see. So this won't have a given. This will have a when you can see auto completes as well. So when I make a request so that will be a post, but this one we can do with a get because it doesn't have a body. So when I make a get request to invite, I'm going to copy this because I want to cheat. I'm just going to get this one because this is a valid one. I know we've deleted it. in this delete file, but in the list it should get the data get reset before this file runs. So now I make a get request to this, and then status code should be to 403 to say permission denied. That didn't work very well. 403. So I expect a 403 on that test, and let's just copy these as well. So I cannot list monitors not from my environment. So let's say I am logged in. So given I am, I can't spell given. Given I am logged in. So I am logged in. I want to, if I go to the test data, when I log in, or when the tests log in, they get this user. I actually don't want that user. So if we go to this one, there's a different user. So we'll take ID number 2, and that will not be a valid environment. Oh, I guess we also want an invalid monitor as well. So cannot list monitors not from my environment, cannot list monitors when not logged in, cannot list monitors from non-existing environment. So let's just put, if I go back to my other test, my delete, I just steal all these 9s. I just want to put 9s in there, so that doesn't exist. And also we want to do a non-existing monitor as well. Cannot list monitors from a non-existing environment, cannot list, I'm being stupid, there's no ID on the monitor list. So this test isn't needed. So, okay. And also the endpoint's incorrect. So we're not doing a get for a single one, we're doing a list. Wait a second, I need to think about that. Is this listing the monitors or listing the ping? I think this is listing them on the monitors. Let me have a look at the endpoint actually and see. So this is why you should do TDD and write the test first, then the code. Doing it afterwards makes it much harder. So this file is under environment monitors list, and it's environment monitors. So this will be, listing the actual monitors, not the results. So it does have the ID at the end, so that is correct. So I do want to have one in here that does it for a non-existing monitor. So I put the 99 at the end, but I'm actually going to put a valid one at the beginning. I want to make sure it's the one that belongs to my account. So the 4 belongs to this logged in user. So this environment ID is correct. And this one is incorrect because I put 999 at the end. So let's just change these status codes. So cannot list monitors not from my environment, 403. Cannot list monitors from non-existing environment, should do 404. Cannot list monitors from non-existing environment, cannot list, I copied that. So cannot list monitors from non-existing monitor. So that's non-existing monitor. I expect a 404. And then we've got the successful one, which I will copy this one because it's the ID is correct in that one. I want the given I'm logged in. So given I'm logged in, when I make a get request to that, I expect to have a 200. Oh, that wasn't very good. 200, and this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So, and I want to have a length. So it'll be a list. It'll come back in a list. I want the length to be, I think it's going to be 2. If I go back to the test data, in the monitors, there's one. Oh, it's just one monitor. Okay, so it's just one monitor. So I expect the length to be 1, and then also I can check the fields. So I expect an ID. I know what the ID is. I have a path and I have a method and I have expected code in a few other fields. So, and should have field and should have a field with string. Let me see. I could probably use this one, I think, actually, because it allows me to do the table at the end. Should have a field. It's going to be an array though, okay? Let me think about that. I have an example of this down here. So if I go to one of my other tests that, for example, lists the environments, Here we go, should have an array, field list, and in row 1. So I can probably just kind of copy that and put this in here. It's kind of cheating, but you know, it's consistent. And then we're just going to steal that. Actually, we can even steal the ID, because it will have an ID, and the ID I've put in here is UUID, or I will know what it is because it's not a randomly generated one, as it comes from the test data. So let's put that in, and I can do, on the Mac, I can do Command Option L and it just reformats that for me. So what other fields will we have? So we know the ID, we know the path is a /, it's just hitting the root. So we can go path. I should probably run the test before I get too far away and make sure these pass. Let me just, well, I'll run it and I'll come back and add more. So if we go to the terminal, and I just hit run, and we want to run not the delete feature, we want to run the list feature, so we can check all the boundary conditions. So while that's running, then we come back and do a few more fields. So what else have we got? So we've got path, method is a get. So method, we want to say that's a get. I'll reformat that in a second. What else have we got? Expected code 200. Expected code is 200, no quotes around it because it's an integer, not a string. And then there was expected text. And I can't remember what that was. Dashboard hub. Okay, that's simple. So we'll put quotes around that. Dashboard hub. Okay. So I think that was all that data. Let's see how the test ran. 3 failures. That's not a good start. Okay, so what have we got? So the first one that failed is on number 10, and on line 10, and it's cannot get a list of monitors when not logged in. I was expecting 403 and I got a 404. And 404 is probably what I want to move to in the future, but I should get a 403. So let me check. If I go to the list code, so in the serverless, I actually have it so that if I go to my serverless config, that I go right to the top, and these are the functions. So I put the functions up here. So with the public environment list, I don't have an authorization step, but if I go to environment list, if you notice I have authorizer auth, and it calls this authorizer auth up here. So on the one I was just doing, I should have that happening as well. So let me check. So what we were calling was monitors. So let me scroll all the way down. These are all my functions on serverless and AWS Lambda. So you've got monitor create, delete, list. We do have authorizer auth. But I have actually put an ID at the end. So I have done something wrong. It is really early morning in the UK, so I am a bit sleepy. So do jump in with your questions. Do jump in with your support. If you like my setup, do say. And I can give you any new people who have joined, I can kind of show you my setup. The big screen at the top is off because it's connected to a sound system and it's really loud and everyone in the house is still sleeping. I hope you appreciate my Jenkins hat, and I'm wearing a FOSDEM hoodie from the FOSDEM conference in Brussels. Okay, let me go back to this. So I've actually found, I think, a bug in my code. So let me see. If I want to get a list of monitors, I shouldn't pass an ID. So let me close some of these. I was in my stream yesterday about CI and CD. That's continuous integration and continuous delivery. So I don't need those anymore. However, we don't need a delete. So list, I've put this ID on, and that's why I'm getting a 404 because the endpoint doesn't exist. So it's kind of silly. But then actually one test cannot list monitors from a non-existing monitor. So that can go. That doesn't make sense anymore. And this is the URL. Okay, let's go. What do you think, people? We're feeling lucky? We're going to pass? Is it going to pass? Okay, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Hey, coming from OO programming and embedded, do you have any tips on venturing into web development? Like what are good resources, for example? There are lots of resources out there, and some of them not good, some of them good. Code Academy, I understand, is quite good. That's quite, I think, academic. So you probably want to do that a little bit just to get into the language that you want to learn. As much as I don't like JavaScript is really popular. I mean, you can use it for FullStack, which is what I'm using at the moment because that's what my client on another project is asking me to do. So I'm using Angular 5 in Dashboard Hub and Node on the back end, and that's what I'm using for my client. That's really popular. I love PHP and Java, well PHP less much. I love Java, but a lot of my clients in the past have been asking for PHP. Yeah, so Code Academy, do some of the theory, but if you're a coder already and we've done OO and embedded, then I think that'd be really easy and boring for you. Just get stuck into using a framework or a tool, and you'll pick it up as you go along really quickly because you're already a techie. Or get involved in open source projects. By all means, jump onto my project and try and contribute. And I'm happy to help out. People are creating PRs, no matter how small. I'll be more than happy to help out. Mostly just about your setup. My SE coding on a Game Boy. No, come on. That's for a laptop. That resolution is really good. So when I leave my command center, I like to call it, or as friends call it, my back cave. So when I leave this and I have to work on a laptop, say at a hackathon or an event, or I'm on holiday, then yeah, I'm quite sad about working on a 13-inch laptop because yeah, I miss these screens. So this is a 5K screen on the left, an Apple LG 5K screen, and iMac Pro 5K screen, and the same screen on the right as the left, and then the 4K LG 49-inch above. So I do miss this setup when I kind of go work on my laptop. Yeah, I really do. It's taken a long time to get to this. It really has. I've just built it up over time, and I spend so much time here coding that I think you need to have a good setup, good tech that you're happy with. So okay, we have one failing test. We expected a 403, but I got a 404, and that was on line 14. So this one, cannot list monitors not from my environment. Cannot list monitors not from my environment. That makes sense. So given I'm logged in, I do a get request to different environment 403. This will be a 404, and I'll explain why. Because in my list, when I get the environment by ID, I do a check, and if you're not the owner, then I return a 404. Again, when I use when I switch to Aurora, if I switch to Aurora serverless, I'll do it a bit different. But yeah, that's a 404. So now this should actually pass. Let's see. But I do like what you said, Dr. Cactus, coding on a Game Boy screen. That's quite a funny comment. Okay, that passed. So now we have those passing. So what else? No, not that one. What else do I have left? If I have nothing left, what we can do is, if you want, and Dr. Cactus, thanks for the follow, by the way. That's awesome. What I can do is, let's just check if we have any more tests to commit, and if not, we can commit this up. So how's everyone's open source coding? Is everyone contributing to open source on a regular basis? Try and do like a little bit every day. Really helps. Even if you're just creating and logging a bug or creating an issue on someone's project or your own project, it still counts as a contribution. Get those green tiles. I've actually got a mug with my green tiles across it, and it says GitHub. So yeah, I'm a big fan of open source. Okay, so that passed. I'm happy with that. I think that was all the tests I needed to do. I think these are all full now. Okay, so I do have a failing test when I run the entire suite though. So what do I have? So if I go make test, so I use make just to, let me go off a directory, run make from the root. So if I run make test, I use make to wrap a lot of my commands. I find it a lot easier. I think I'm going to have some failing tests because for some reason I think I have a bit of a race condition. So when it's deleting the database, the next test runs and it's reading the data from the previous test. So it's not truncating it or dropping it, as you can see in the terminal. It's not dropping it and reseeding it in time. So what I'll probably do, because I really, as you're getting into CI and CD, what I'm really keen to do probably just get those ones passing, and I will then commit it up, create a pull request on GitHub, and you'll see that the deployment on test hasn't changed. And what we can do then is merge it into my branch 0.9, and you'll see it deploy out to test. And if we get time, maybe we'll deploy to production as well, and you'll see how easy it is. It's just so good having that whole path, or that whole journey automated. I actually start off my projects by doing hello world in the code, and then doing the automation to deploy that hello world. And then as you add to it, as I added, I think I started off with GitHub Pages for the UI, and I moved to AWS S3, and then I automated that as well, and then I moved to CloudFront on AWS as well, and I had to add that to the automation. But as you're adding a little bit and often, it ends up being quite easy to do. Okay, so I've seen a few reds come up. We've got some failures, which was expected. I did think we would, and we'll change those. And to get those passing, it's just, like I said, reading the wrong, not the wrong, but the data hasn't quite reset when it's trying to read from it. So I think it takes about a minute to run, so it's not too long. Although I have added some more tests, so it might be just over a minute. It will say at the end how long it's taken to run as well. Let's have a guess. I'm guessing 1 minute 30 maybe. But do write down your thoughts on the numbers. Okay, maybe come up to 2 minutes. It's the resetting of the database makes the test run so much slower. Before when I used to reset the database, it actually could run under 10 seconds. I mean, it was just lightning fast. It's just an API, it's just hitting it really quick. But the reseeding the database just from the test data makes it really a lot slower. One of the things I want to do in the future potentially is so each file creates its own data, and then I can get all the tests running in parallel as well. So on my iMac Pro, again for the just to show off my lovely screens. So on my iMac Pro in the middle, I could probably run, I don't know, it's 18 cores, 16 cores, I think 18 cores. With 30 gigs of RAM, it could probably run, 10 in parallel quite easily. Although I do hear the fans coming on now, and it's not often that I hear the fans coming on. So you've got 3 failures. This is when I ran the entire suite rather than just one feature file. So yeah, I thought it was going to be this create environment A. So I'm expecting C from the test data, but the create, oh no, wait a second. I've got create and it got C. Okay, I thought it was going to be the other way around. So let's just open this feature file and have a look. So it's private. Let me close some of these, we don't need these. So it was the list private and list public. So list private and list public. So why does this fail? And then this might be a harder one to solve actually if it's a race condition with the asynchronous code. So line 10. So this one fails, and it fails on create environment A. It shouldn't be create environment in A because we've reset the data. So if I go down to the data, and it should give me the latest one first, the one that's been updated latest, which I think it's even the first one on the list. Even the first one on the list. Let me check these times. Are they all the same? Yeah, they're all the same. So I want to make a change on that, but I might cause other tests to break. So what I should probably do is if I just bump all of these up by 1, then we actually, and it orders by the most recently updated. So let me just change that to a 4. It's going to be such a small change in time, but when it's sorted, it will actually make a difference. So I'm just going to run that feature file. I'm not going to run the whole lot because it takes a couple of minutes to run it. How long did it take? 3 minutes 15. I was quite wrong. I thought a minute and a half. So let's go into the API directory and then just get the Cucumber command up, which I'm not using wrapped via make because make has to be run from the root directory. And if I just go environment, and what was the test? It was list private was the first one we were doing. If I just run that, it'll run pretty quick. Anyone who's just joined, any questions, please do ask. We're really diverse and really inclusive. We had people from all around the world yesterday, from Africa through Eastern Europe to the States. I think we're someone from the States. So and I'm from the UK, as you can probably tell by my really strong British accent, as I got told yesterday. But yeah, any questions do ask. Any contributions, any ideas and improvements do also say. Yeah, so environment D, that's what I wanted. So I wanted the last one because it had the latest updated date. So let's update that test. So environment D, I'll sort out the formatting in a second. So environment D has build deploy type, and all that should be okay. So if I just reformat that, you can reformat really nicely in IntelliJ by using Command, Option and L, and just reformat it all. Let me run that again. That goes green. So if we can get these tests green, which I'm hoping we can, like I said, we will do a commit to a branch, create a pull request, and then we'll merge the pull request into the mainline branch, which is test, and which is 0.9, which will deploy to test on success. So I can show you the CI and the CD part, and if we get time before I have to go to work, because it is coming up to 6 AM now. If I get time, I will do a deploy to production, which will be awesome because it's fully automated and it takes about 10 minutes to do the build and deploy per environment. So it's quite cool. But we'll definitely get it into test. I think we will. Right, so we've got a failure. So the failure we've got is, oh yes, so some of the numbers have now changed. So 800, where is that from rather than 0? I'm guessing that's on views. Let's have a look. If we go down to here, the views is releases is 800. These are just hard-coded numbers in my tests just to make sure that it comes through. So views was quite a big number. So let's put that in. Let's reformat it. Tokens, I've got 1. Let me see what we've got here. 1. There's 2. So no, tokens is 2. So let's put that to a 2. Monitors is a 1, so we change that to a 1. Anyone who's joined as well, I'm working on an open source project called Dashboard Hub. It's on GitHub, fully open source. Do have a look and let me know your thoughts. So what else have we got? Is private files, views, progress. I think it's all good. Okay, let's run that again. It's quite quick to run. It took 10 seconds, so it's not too bad. So where are people from? I'm guessing you're all from maybe east of the UK, so you're ahead in time. Is it like kind of 8, 9 AM where you are? I think all the people from the States have probably gone to bed now, being 6 hours behind, 6, 8 hours, probably like 11, 12 at night. They might still be up. Okay, so it's just the, so in red is I got invalid 0, 0, but it's got 32, 1, 2, 3. Let me just check the test data. Where is it? I can't see it. Wow, I'm tired. Getting up at 3 AM was not a good idea. I cannot see. Oh, there we go. There it is. Pings. Invalid 1, 2, 3, and 32. So that it is correct. So 1, 2, 3, and 32. Okay. Anything else that we've missed? Probably is. Let me just run it and find out. Come on, wake up, Eddie. Need another coffee. Got a full day of work. And I'm gonna try, and I plan to stream. So my stream this morning was a random one. I stream. It failed. I stream at 5:30 every day UK time. Okay, current 00, current 100. Okay, so let me just check that's correct. Where is it? Pings. Where is current? Let me search for it. Why can't I see it? What was the failure? I have got it. Oh, under progress, that's why. Yeah, I wrote this code. It's crazy. I'm so can't remember where it is. So under progress. So if I search for progress, progress is generated. So that's why. So if I do progress as 100, so basically it's not at the moment not in a build or a deploy state. So now, okay, let's place some bets. What do you reckon? Pass? It's gonna pass. I have a good feeling. Yes, okay, that passed. Awesome. So now let's do that's the private one. Let's do the public one, because you can list public and privately in this code base. I think there's 2 failures on this one, but it's going to be more or less the same thing. I reordered the data. Okay, 2 failures, D and D, so that's fine as what expected. So in fact, if it's D and D, we can just copy this because we know it's going to be exactly the same data. I'm just keen to do a deployment. I love deploying, especially when it's so easy. Okay, so if this passes, we'll run the entire suite, make sure all is good. We'll do the commit. I'll be so happy. I've been working on this for like 2 weeks now to get all these tests done. And I don't know if you saw earlier, failed. Why? I can't do an exact copy because it's public. So some of the fields won't exist. So let me think. What won't you get? You won't get tokens, that's for sure. Because tokens, you have to be logged in to get your tokens. I don't know if you'll get monitors. Let me see. We can check the actual code. I don't know what I'm guessing. So if I go to list, and this is the serverless list, these are the attributes you get back for public. So ID, owner, title, releases, yep, latest release, pings, yep, latest ping, progress, type, yep, description, where's description? I don't have description in here, do I? I'm missing a field. Okay, I'll put that in. Link, logo, or missing this as well. Created that. Okay, so what do we have? So progress, was that on there? It is in there. Views. Views or not, so let's remove views. Is private, you won't have, because you, as a public person viewing, you'd only get the ones that is private is false, so basically public. I think that's good. Let me save that and run that. Let's have a look. This is why it's really good to have automated tests, because you can check that you're not getting fields that you shouldn't be getting, or what are or are not. So what was the other field that it failed on? Array. So let me check. So when you're viewing it publicly, so this is my serverless framework using Node. This is my public, and there's my private down there. So private, you get everything because you're logged in, but public, you do not. So what else have we got? Title, owner, type, latest, releases. I think releases was on here, yes it was. Monitors, was monitors on here? No, it's not. Okay, so let's get rid of monitors. And we could actually check you can actually do one more by saying and should not have a field, and we can say monitors. So we expect monitors not to be there. So what do we remove actually? Good point. So we expect there not to be monitors. We expect there, oh, and we set up here, and should have an array in list one, no field tokens, no, yeah, we've already, I said done it, okay. That was from the other day, so I have forgotten. Let me run that and see. But we do have those checks, so no monitors, no tokens, and no views. Okay, that sounds good. Okay, come on, green, green. Yes, let me run the entire test suite. Make test. Takes about 3 minutes to run. So while that's running, why don't you all ask me some questions? Very quiet in the chat at the moment. Do you just let me know what you're working on? What open source projects are you working on? Or what do you do for a day job? Do you use automated tests? Do you do CI, so continuous integration and continuous deployment? Do you want to do it if you don't? Do have a shout out and let me know. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Okay, so it takes about 3 minutes to run, so we have got some time. I can show my screens in the meantime if you want, rather than seeing the Cucumber test output. You can look at my lovely setup I'm very proud of. Just banged the mic, sorry. I hope I didn't make a donk at your end. And I've also noticed that the chat on this scene is kind of covered by the progress bar for followers, and not very good. So I will sort that out. And the big screen at the top, the 49-inch 4K is off because it's connected to the sound system and people are asleep. It's just gone 6 AM in the UK, and if I turn it on, all the sound will go through that TV out of the sound systems and it'll wake everybody up. I've been in a lot of trouble. Oh, we got a failure. Okay, that's fine. I did change that the time data, so that's okay. I changed it so they didn't all, the environments didn't all have the same timestamp. Otherwise, the ordering was a bit weird because it was exactly the same. So I have changed that. I'm talking about my screen, but you can't see. But yes, if I go back to my screen, you will see the timestamps failing, and that's fine. I could just have date, but because I inserted that mock data, I'm quite keen to check that what I inserted is what I get back exactly. But once this finishes, it's about 3 minutes to run, so it should be finishing in about a minute. Once it finishes, we will make those remaining tests pass, and then we will commit it, create pull requests, get CI to build it, we'll merge it in, get CI to deploy it, and to AWS Lambda, AWS S3, and clear all the cloud formations, cloud front stuff. That will just happen all automatically. So, okay, don't think there's long left. People do ask questions while I'm waiting, and it'll save me mumbling along. And if you haven't followed me and you kind of like what I'm chatting about, do follow, and it will notify you when I come online next. So I usually come at 5:30 UK time in the evening, not in the morning. Although this morning it was kind of 5 o'clock UK time in the morning. But yeah, usually Monday to Friday, 5:30 PM UK time. Okay, so I think we might have 2 or 3 failures. Come on. By 6:30 I want to get this deployed, at least a test, if not onto production. Tokens I think is towards the end, I think. Okay, we had 2 failures and they were expected because I changed the date time. So that's fine. So where is this? This is in feature file, get private and get public. Okay, so if I go to, and which one was it? is the created. It would probably be both. I changed created and updated. So it says 6962. So private. Oh, I actually don't check for a specific time. I just check the format, and so the format should be correct. Let me just check. Get private 15. Get private 15. Created with, and should have a field created with. Where is this? Oh, get. I'm looking at list. Okay, yeah, it's been an early morning for me. So if I go down to my test for get, let me close lists so we don't get confused. So on get private, I do have a check here, and we did change it. So 962, 962, and that was on the private, which I've just done, and then on the public, it's 962 as well. Okay, that's fine. I changed it in the test data, and I completely forgot to change it here. So now that is done, I'm pretty sure that's going to pass. Should we just get CI to run it? Let's run it locally, because CI takes like 10 minutes. It does a lot more. So what we'll do is if we just go into the API directory, and if I just run the cucumber command just for those files. So it's environment, and it was get private. Let's run that. It should take about 10 seconds to run, really quick. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost getting there to do a commit, deploy, do a commit, push, create a PR, and then it will deploy it out once merged in. Okay, that passed. I'm pretty sure the other one will pass now, but let me just public. Let me just run it and see. Okay, pass, brilliant. I'm not going to run the entire suite. It took about 3.5 minutes, but we know that's good. So now if I just do a status, you will see I've got lots of changes. So let's get these tests committed. So let me just do a diff and just check I'm happy with it. So yep, I'm happy with my make file changes. It's just my make file is just wrapping my commands, so I don't have to remember them. And I've updated documentation on that. And then I've done lots of code improvements as I wrote the test. Notice boundary conditions weren't working. So let's do a commit. So we do a git commit -m. We'll put a message in. We'll say, and I just say it's a feature, and it's going to be tests, and we're going to say API improved. API writing message is really hard. Improved API code coverage. Okay, and at the end I want to put a dot, so I want everything to go up. You can specify files, but I'm just going to say dot. I want the whole lot to go. I'm going to push it to my branch, and it's 752. So let's push this. You won't get a password. This is just for me. I probably typed it incorrectly because I'm using. I did type it incorrectly because I'm using password on my SSH keys. So I've pushed that up. If we head now to Travis, so if I go Travis, you will see it building on CI. So you can see issue 752 is now building. So while that's building, because it takes about 5 minutes, because there's not going to be a deployment part, with a deployment it takes about 10. So we've got API tests. This is the pull request I created earlier, and it's to do with this code. So once this finishes, I want to merge it into 0.9, and that means it will deploy it out to the test environment, which I will show you as well. So while this is building, I will show you the test environment. So this is the test environment that I mentioned earlier, and this is the monitoring page. But what I'm keen to show you, if I refresh it just to prove to you that the number at the bottom, actually if I go to the main page as well. So if you look here, right at the bottom of my mouse is, you have 0.9, which is my version that I'm using, and you have 1225, which will match up with the Travis build from yesterday. So 0.9, you'll see 1225. and that's what they deployed out. So 1.2.2.7 will not get deployed out because it's just a feature branch. But when we merge in this pull request, once that feature branch is finished building, because it's getting merged into 0.9, it will then deploy it out, and it will take a higher number, and then this number, once it's finished deploying, will also increase. So the reason why I put the version number in the UI is that if people want to log a bug or have a question, you can just check that they haven't got a cached version in their browser or something like that. So also when you're going through your ideas or your backlog of ideas and bugs, you can see what it was raised against, because if it was raised against a really old version, it might be out of date. So CI is building. I usually have the CI on my massive screen above, which while I'm waiting for that to build, I will show you. So you can see a massive screen above. I usually have CI building on one side of that, and I don't know, something else on the other side. But with my sound system connected to the big TV, I'm not turning it on while everyone's asleep. It's just gone 6 AM in the UK. Do ask any questions if you like what I'm doing, you want a bit more detail in about it, or you can see an improvement to what I'm doing, please do say and do ask. So, or if you like my setup, any compliments on my setup would be awesome. I do, a geek, do like my tech, and yay, thank you, nice setup. That means a lot to me, it really, really does. It took me years to kind of get this how I wanted, and I just, any compliments like that, it's just, it means you can see a big smile on my face. So yeah, it means a lot, so thank you very much. Are you in space or something? Yeah, that's true. Well, you got a bit of noise from my iMac Pro now. It sounds a bit spacey, like I'm flying and the fans are kicking off. But am I in space? No, just in sunny UK. And sunny, I do in air quotes sarcastically, because it's always wet and cold here. So, but Mio runtime exception. Thank you for joining and joining in the chat as well. Whereabouts are you from? Are you in the UK or Europe, or further towards Far East, or other way towards the States? Okay, this should be finished building in a couple of minutes, and then we can merge it. And France, cool. Okay, so you're an hour ahead. It's about what, 7:10 over there. So yeah. So not too bad. Time zone's kind of similar. You've got better weather though, that's for sure, and better wine. Okay, so when that finishes merging, I will, when it finishes building, I will merge the pull request, and I'm pointing at my screen, and I'm not even sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screens, but not my screen. So let me just share my screen. So when this finishes building, probably in about 1 minute, probably about 1 minute, 2 minutes, because it's not doing the deployment, it's just doing the build, then I can merge it into the test branch, which is 0.9, and it will automatically deploy out, and that takes about 10 minutes. So what do you prefer? While we're waiting for the build, what do you prefer? Shall I leave it on sharing my screen, and I'm a lot smaller, which is probably better, at this early in the morning, it's not a pretty sight to look at me, or do you prefer to see my tech? So while that build is running, I've got the Apple's LG 5K screen on the left and on the right. So that's the right camera and the left camera. Where is it? Left. Here we go. Then in the one camera has stopped working though. If you look at the bottom right one, has got stuck. And then my iMac Pro in the middle, and the 4K LG 49-inch at the top. So this build here on the right should be finishing any minute now, any second now. And let's see, if we click on it, on Travis, we can see how far we've got in. So I'm a big Travis fan, but I actually have a Jenkins cap, which is quite funny. What have I done? Too long to display. Oh, that doesn't look good. Access denied. No, that's fine. That error is expected. I should probably hide those errors, but no, that's fine. Okay, let it finish building. it's doing its thing, it's doing what it needs to do. So it is running the API tests, and for anyone else that has joined, do ask any questions. Let me just recap on what we've been doing. So we've been writing Cucumber tests for my API for the Dashboard Hub project, which is fully open source. And you can see here, this is getting an environment. So I make a request to this environment. Oh, that title's incorrect. Get my environment. No, it should be get a non-existing environment. That's a copy and paste error. Typical developer. So get a non-existing environment and get my environment. Also, I should have a 404 if it's not my environment. Let's stick another one in here actually. Just noticed a missing test. So if get cannot get, how can I say that in English? English is my first language and I can't think how to say this. Nice and short and concise. Let's see, cannot get a non-existing environment, cannot get, but you can get, you can't get on the view, so cannot get someone else's environment. So this should be a 404, and let me get an ID. If I put that back, and I choose number 2 doesn't belong to the test user, so that should fail. Okay, let me just run that and see. So I'm not going to run the whole lot, I'm just going to run that file. So Cucumber, and was it the public one or private? It was the public one. But you're not logged in actually, so you can actually get the environment. That's going to fail. So I think it's a bad test. Because if you're not logged in, if you're not logged in, you can get someone else's environment, but you just get the public view of their environment. So that is actually incorrect. Ignore that. Let's see how CI is doing. Oh, it failed. Okay, that's embarrassing. I thought I ran it all locally and all was good. So let's see why. Why did it fail? Right. Run in seed data. It's missing some environment variables. So although it runs locally, it's not going to run in CI. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have to go to work soon, and I've been on for over an hour. So what I'm going to do, I will fix that another time. But what I'm going to do is just run it all locally to prove to everyone that it does work. So if I run make, if I run the command make test, which just wraps my Cucumber command, and we're going to run the whole lot locally. It takes about 3 minutes, and we're going to see that all the automated tests pass, and then I'll call it a day. And what we can do today at 5 o'clock this evening, I plan to stream again, and I'll hopefully have CI running, working, and then if not today, tomorrow, and then we can merge it into the test branch and get it deployed out and get it all working. I don't want to merge it into the test branch now because it will break the test branch, and my test branch, which is 0.9, and my master branch need to always be green and stable really. So won't do that. So while that's running, I will show you again my lovely screens. You can tell I'm very proud of my lovely screens. Oh, thanks for the follow, Mia Runtime Exception. That's awesome. So you get notified next time I'm online, which is usually 5:30 UK time, Monday to Friday. So you can probably see in the corner here, there's no red. That's not red. That's banging my screen. That's pink. I can show you by switching back. Just pink. Still no errors. So we're still running good. And so far so good. And in the evenings I usually have the big screen on. Sound systems will automatically come on, and there's no one to wake up. So okay, it's like 3 minutes. If you play some music, crank up that music. I turn. Here we go. waving my head, but I don't know if it's to the music or not. So even if I could hear the music, my wife says I have no rhythm anyway, so it wouldn't have been to the music anyway. But the tests do run sequentially, so not running in parallel. So it's, although I have kind of my lovely iMac Pro 18 cores, it is just going to just run them one by one. I wonder how the system's going. The fans have come on, so it's kind of, you know, getting a bit louder. But yes, okay. So if this goes green, we will call it a day, and then we will continue again later on. If you do have any questions now, do just write in the chat. If you have questions when I'm not streaming, join the community. It's open source coders. Do join that, and we can chat in between streams and off when we're offline. Well, not offline because you need internet connection to chat, but when we're not streaming. I said it right first time. Okay, so we're on delete a monitor. So off the monitors, I think from the code we have monitors. Monitors has the most tests underneath. Then we've got releases, then tokens, and then just the environment. I'm not even showing my screen, so that doesn't help. So it's just running the tests under monitors, and then it'll go to releases, then tokens, and then the ones in the root. So not long to go. Okay, the music is back at the right volume. Or let me go back to the test, how they're getting on. I don't think anything red came up. So on CI, when the test failed, it was because of I've got to set the environment variables, because this is quite embarrassing. Yesterday when I was streaming, I revealed my token, my private tokens, so I had to reset them. So on CI, they're out of date now, which is a kind of a good test. It shows that it can't create a test user and log in and so forth. So it's kind of, that's why I planned it actually. So to test CI would fail all the tests because you couldn't log in. Yeah, that's the one. That's what I was planning to do. So it's an easy change for me to do. I just need to remember what the token is, like regenerate it, put it into Travis CI, and it will pass. There you go, look, 73 scenarios passed beautifully. So I will do the token part well, after I stream, and I really want to get this merged. We'll do it tonight. 5:30 tonight, we'll do a short stream and we'll get that merged. Listen everyone, it's coming up to 6:30 Tuesday morning. Have a great day at work, and I'll catch you at the end of the day at 5:30. And I'll put up my holding screen. Have a good day everyone. Bye.